In today's episode, I'm going to talk about how you can fail at an informational interview. And of course, the flip side of that is how you succeed. When we walk through the key issue that you could be missing, you're going to say, aha, I've done it and that's why I've succeeded, or I've missed it and that's why I haven't succeeded to the best of my ability. We believe that networking is a skill, something that you can learn, something that you can develop, and something that everyone everywhere can be good at. And we're excited to dive into informational interviews with you today. Today, I'm going to tell you how to guarantee yourself failure in an informational interview in the first 3 minutes. Here's how you do it. Don't start with an agenda. I'm going to say that one more time for the people in the back. Don't start with an agenda. Let me explain a little bit about what an informational interview is and what the expectations are of the interviewer. First, you're getting on an informational interview call for 15 to 30 minutes. The expectation of the interviewer, the representative from the firm, is that they will make a decision about you on this call. By the end of the call, they will decide whether to refer you for an interview or whether to do nothing at all and wish you well along your way. If you want to guarantee that you will have success in the interview, you have to come in with a plan. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk through what a great agenda is and how it sounds at the beginning of an informational interview that will help you guarantee that you will be successful when you're jumping on the phone or having a casual call with somebody inside a pretty high-powered firm. First, the informational interview agenda begins with 3 things, and you should let somebody know that you have 3 items that you want to cover inside the call. Just listing out the 3 things feels definite and also in control. So it feels like there's a beginning and an end, a doable but a substantial amount of information. Second, the informational interview should have 3 parts, 3 distinct pieces. So it shouldn't just be a list where you say, I have 3 things I want to cover, but you need to have 3 distinct things that you want to cover. Those 3 things should be, number 1, your background. So you want to introduce it by saying, the first thing that I would like to cover is a little bit about me. The second thing that I'd love to cover is a little bit about you. I'd like to hear how you came to the firm and some of your favorite things about it. And then the third thing is that I've prepared a few questions to ask about specific aspects of the firm and the application. Once you've done that, you've teed up for them a plan and an approach that begins the informational interview. Without it, somebody doesn't exactly know what you're doing. When does the chit chat at the beginning end and the informational interview begin? Who's in charge, you or them? So you want to introduce the informational interview very early on within the first 3 minutes by stating what your agenda, what your plan is for the informational interview. Now, part 2 of this is not just how to fail the informational interview at the beginning, which is by not laying out an agenda, confusing the person that you're interviewing with, and also not getting the information out of the call that you want. But the second piece is actually delivering on all those 3 pieces. And so I'm going to walk through what you do really quickly. The first thing is you have to have an elevator pitch prepared, and I'm going to do a separate episode just on the elevator pitch. So I'm not going to cover it too much, but the focus needs to be on a very brief telling of your story, usually 30 seconds to a maximum of 1 minute. When you do that, and then after you finish, you prompt them for their backstory. They're going to tell a story in the commensurate amount of time that you used. You use 30 seconds, they'll give you 30 seconds. You use 6 minutes, they'll use 6 minutes. So you want to use as little time as possible at the beginning of the call to do get to know you talk. The remainder of the time together is a series of questions about the other person's experience, culminating in one final question, which is a referral trigger. The end of every informational should absolutely be, would you, after our conversation today, feel comfortable referring me for an interview? If somebody says yes unequivocally, all of a sudden, you have an advocate inside the firm. This is tremendous. This is what you came for. So you have not only information and connection, but most importantly, an advocate. But if they say no, you actually still get really great information as well. If they say no to you and they say, oh, you're not quite ready. In fact, somebody today just wrote me an email and she said, after talking to me for 5 minutes, would you have referred me for an interview? And I told her no. And I didn't do that because I didn't like her and I don't think that she could do it. In fact, I thought that she was lovely. I just realized that in our conversations, she spent almost no time talking about what she's capable of, brand name firms that she's worked for, or actual analytical work that's similar to the job. So I just said, I would need to know that you've done these things to feel more confident in my ability to refer you. If you get that kind of feedback from somebody, it's highly helpful, very constructive. And you can use that either to go back to them by giving them the information that was missing, or simply making sure that in future conversations with other people, you include that information. So if you want to fail an informational interview, come in unprepared, don't lay out a plan, and make sure that it's unclear who's in charge. But if you want to succeed at an informational interview, come with a clear plan and a plan to deliver on each part of the plan. Then you'll be set up for success. If you're interested in having help as you develop your plan for informational interviews, we would love to help. We can give you a mock informational interview where you can try your process on us, and we can give you feedback on how it comes across. Does it come across as though you're comfortable in your own skin and yet well prepared? Does it come across as though you have a plan for each part of the time and you're running the meeting in a very clear and concise way, or that you're unsure of yourself and not sure what's supposed to happen next? We'll give you feedback on all of that in a 1-hour session. All you have to do is book on our website at managementconsulted.com. If you've got other questions about networking, about the application process for consulting or other high-powered jobs, or if you just want to reach out, we'd love to hear from you. You can find the link in the show notes. Finally, if you want to stay tuned to Strategy Simplified, we'd love to have you. Please subscribe to these episodes and make sure that you leave us a great review. Thanks so much for joining.